I couldn't shoot the last day. I ended up getting a norovirus and, puking everywhere. Like had so much nausea that my incredible stunt woman came in and did like the last day and she killed it.
The winged witch is hungry, and the Beldham never sleeps.
I'm gonna keep an eye on this, just in case you see any monsters under the bed.
My name is Nigeria Chambers. I am from the Culture Collective. Angela and Katie, thank you so much for your time today and congratulations on your new film, which I hear is going to be in theaters and available tomorrow, which is November 7th. How's that feel? How does that sound? How's everyone doing today?
You go, girl.
Excited. It's weird. A film is such a marathon. There are so many different stages of it. So it's a weird feeling to have it be about to exist.
Yeah.
It's a weird
Yeah.
feeling. It's exciting.
Yeah. Congratulations. And to come back right to you, Angela, I really kind of want to talk about some of the milestones to get into this point. First and foremost, as a big horror fan, and I very much advocate for horror just as strong as I advocate for independent filmmaking, because I do feel one for independent filmmaking. I think it's the space where everybody is able to really express themselves, whether it's their passion project, something that's really close, near, and dear to the heart, or or open up or push a narrative that needs to be discussed more from the people it need to be told from. And then
Mhm.
horror happens to just be the genre that I think you can do any and everything in. There's no limitations in terms of what you can tell in terms of horror. And horror looks so many ways than people like to think that it's just a slasher. Michael Myers is the epitome of horror, and that's it. But it is things such as grief that we see every single day that is, in a way, it's horrific to us because a lot of us don't understand it. For the folks that are going through it, we're trying to figure out how do we just get to the next day. And the people that aren't experiencing it are scared because they don't know what to do with it when they know the inevitable is happening. So I want to ask you, in all of that, I mean, when you take something like processing grief, and then you're talking about the care of your grandmother, and that right there can consume anybody, can stop you and put you in your place for whatever's happening in your world, could just completely shut everything down. I wanted to know, where did the idea of saying this moment, this story is bigger than self, and it needs to be explored in terms of writing and storytelling and sharing it with the world, and then ultimately going extremely broke, getting it out there to do so.
I mean, yep. I think for me, I just like had all these big feelings when my family was going through this big transition and a death is hard,
Yeah.
but something like this and this movie is so tricky to talk about without giving away the twist, but like it's an extended process and you have to live with it for sometimes a really, really long time. And it becomes so filled with just like so many emotions and um, my grandmother and I, she has since passed, but we were very close. And I had a therapist once who told me that like every other generation has like a very special connection to each other. And like my grandma and I look alike. Like there's pictures of us at the same.
Mm,
You can't tell us apart. Like
wow.
there's just always been this sort of spiritual connection there. She's a really special a lady. Um, and my mom and my aunt were the main ones who helped her and my grandfather transition to this new stage of life. And it was really like vulnerable and intimate and sweet and scary and devastating and mundane to just watch the parent child relationship flip, because like if we're lucky to live long enough, that will flip. And
Yeah, yeah.
parent becomes the child and the child becomes the parent, and it's a really hard thing. And yeah, so I just was like, I got to do something with this feeling, and I put it out there. And so often I think, so often the burden of caretaking, not always, but like does tend to fall on women. And I just felt like this was something I wanted to, offer to other folks who have gone through similar experiences.
Thank you for that. I mean, it takes a very powerful and special person and community around you to have that measure of ambition. Because personally going through a similar story, I can tell you that I was pretty shut down for a good close to the year, and it's kind of like, where is the light at the end of the tunnel? I mean, somehow you get there and somehow you figure it out. But I can tell you, I was nowhere near ambitious of like, yeah, I need to share this to the world. But so
Everyone
like.
processes differently.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the biggest thing I got from that is that when it really does come down to grieving, it is all done differently. And in a way, we want to be there for one another, but it's in a way it's kind of funny because your advice you give to somebody really doesn't apply because everybody has to kind of do it their way and everybody kind of see it their own way. But I do think it's still a measure of comfort that we see that everybody's trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
I want to come back to you in 1 second, but I mean, come on now. You bring Katie on the project. You already know what you're going to get here. I have to kind of label you as like you really have solidified yourself as one of the prominent actors in horror. Time and time again, you just continue to impress, and this is why I love independent filmmaking because yeah, we've seen you on a lot of hit shows, and those productions and budgets are a little bit bigger and sometimes even way more polished. But I say independent filmmaking is way more polished than people like to give credit for. You won't know unless you know. But seeing still another side of you in this was kind of like, yeah, that's my girl. I have always believed in you to
Oh,
be that actor, and you continue to deliver. What an array of an emotions that you have to go on in this journey. To the point I actually wanted to really figure out in the sense of care, how did you care for yourself afterwards? Because the spectrum of things that we go through, and I mean confusion and there's a measure of possible gaslighting in there, but also present and trying to be present for a baby, but also the relationship with a mother that isn't so easily done at times. I can also even say like the losing of like of like a house around you. No, though it's not really her house, but like a home is really, the what you make it, and you can feel the sense of home because everybody's under the same thing. And it's like I'm not quite sure if I want to let go of this. There's like a lot of little things I picked up from that, but I ultimately wanted to know if you could just talk to me about your experience in terms of stepping into this character, Harper. But ultimately, what was it that you did in terms of like self care for yourself after sort of leaving Harper on the screen?
Hmm. Um, what did I do for self-care? I mean, to be quite honest, I ended up getting like very sick
I
and
was just
actually,
thinking, like, oh God.
yeah, I couldn't shoot the last day. I ended up getting a norovirus and, puking everywhere, like had so much nausea that my incredible stunt woman came in and did like the last day and she killed it. But
Mm,
I mean, something I'm trying to embrace is like I naturally have like a discomfort and irritability that just like lives in me. It's sort of my makeup. It's baked into my nervous system, and it can be like an asset, I think, to have. I felt really safe and comfortable with Angela, like we're really good friends, and she wanted me to play the role for a reason. And I kind of just allowed myself to stay frustrated and irritable and
mm,
annoyed because that's what was happening to Harper too. And
yeah.
sometimes on set, like actors can be treated with like a certain amount of like preciousness that really drives me crazy. Really drives me crazy. Like, can I get you a minute?
Really
No,
like quiet
no.
voice.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And it kind of, creates this like rage of just like, let's just do it, let's do it now. And yeah, I don't know, self-care. I mean, the more I get to work as an actor, the more I see like you have to be an athlete. I think it's why athletes actually transition really well into entertainment because they know the body, they know what they need. To hit a mark is a very specific thing. To get a performance out at 4:30 in the morning is a very specific thing. Um, and now, I mean, to be blunt, like I really try to like prioritize sleep. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I eat really, really well.
Yeah.
But that's taken me years to figure out. And when we were doing the Beldham, it's independent film. The movie was shot for under $1 million. Like you don't really have time to take care of yourself. You just show
Yeah.
up on the day and you do it. But you know, sleep, rest, eat your greens, do what you need to do.
I commend you
Drink
both.
water.
Yeah,
Drink
yeah,
a
water for sure.
lot of water.
Katie, you're a badass.
Thank
And thanks for sharing that story. I got about two questions I want to quickly get in there. I want to go back to the house because Angela, would it be wrong to say that the reason why I felt like me as the viewer put so much emphasis in terms of the infrastructure of the house is because at times I feel like as much as we see sort of the trauma that is going on with Harper, it also kind of feels a little bit metaphorical that that trauma is also being absorbed by the house as well too.
you.
So it's safe to say the house is as much as a character as Harper is the lead.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, spaces, I feel like spaces hold memories. The earth holds memories. And, you know, even when we start to lose our sense of who we are, familiar spaces can trigger familiar memory, and the house kind of becomes the key to unlocking everything. So yeah, I'm really glad that you had that experience with it. And so
Yeah.
we want to, yeah, really, Brian Parker, our brilliant sound designer.
Right.
Brilliant. He really wanted to build in that, like, we're just feeling this infestation in the walls all around her, and it's just like, tap 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 tap. I call it like a haunted aviary. It's just everywhere,
Yeah.
can't escape it. Yeah.
I want to ask you, and I don't know how to, well, we'll just say, without giving anything away, another department I want to share some light on is your costume, makeup, and special effects, folks. Somebody ages. And ages gracefully, Mike Ty said, and it was such a interesting moment that really brings things into full circle. It's why I literally had to watch the film twice now because I was like, I see what's going on now, and you watch it now sort of more linear in that way, which is always great when you I'm sure you want viewers to have the rewatchability here. Yeah, who do you give credit to? Shall I say, Katie, was this were you in the seat for this, or were this was when you weren't on set?
I wasn't on set for what which I don't know what you're referring to actually. For what part?
I
You
I
can't
want to
give
give anything away, but kind of towards the end, we see like the different ages of a character.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not me actually.
Lisa
Okay.
Loving is a
Okay.
brilliant actress who was
Yeah. Yeah.
so down, so game. You and her just like got on like gangbusters, which was great. Um, yes, she's amazing.
She is.
All right. All
Sorry, I thought
right.
you were implying
So
that
glad.
that was me, and I was like, that's not me.
No, 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 no,
That's
no,
not
no,
makeup.
no.
That's a person.
No, 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 for sure, for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
for sure, for yeah,
Got
Trying
it,
yeah,
got it,
yeah,
trying
got
not
it,
to give
got
it
it,
away, which I
yeah,
appreciate.
yeah, yeah.
got it, got it, got it, got it.
It's like that's the thing. I can't really say what I
I
want to
know,
say
I
here.
know.
Sorry,
It's
sorry,
really
sorry.
tough to talk
Yeah, it's
about.
like,
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
Um,
but we have what do they call that? I'm not a baseball person. A pinch hitter who comes in at the end and
yes,
really
yeah.
takes it all home. Yeah. Am
yes,
I using
that's
that
a
right?
great. That's a great. That is, I will 1 billion% be still that for the review. Thank you very much. Last thing I want to ask you because I do think, well, if I can slide it, maybe two. But one thing I do want to talk about is something that I feel like this film highlights that we really don't really get a conversation about, and it is really the horror of caretaking.
Mhm.
Um, And I think that's because there's a sense of care, but there's also a sense of control, and there's also a sense of sacrifice. I would love if you both can kind of talk about that theme in that film and how that sort of resonated with you.
Mm, mm. I'm gonna go first, Katie.
Um, I mean, I think the difficulty of caretaking, other than like the obvious things, is when it's so close to home and when like the role reversal of like parent child to parent gets old or ill and the child has to rise to become the parent, the
Yeah.
internal fear landscape, like I think all human beings are afraid of when we come to the end of crossing over to the other side. I think that's an internal battle all of us face every single day, of like life and
Mhm.
death. Having the circle of life and death happen within your family lineage is the most existential, horrifying thing that is universal, that we know
Yeah.
is coming. The moment something is born, we know it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And to see that within your hero, you know, your grandparent, your parent, come to this vulnerability of the end and that you have to rise, you know, that's like, even just saying that, it's like it's um
Yeah.
yeah, it's so existential but so relatable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
And
there's like a specific kind of pain too for when the person that needs the care is not able to see that they need the care. And so the care
Mm.
is presented or rejected, and it feels like gaslighting, or it feels like taking away bodily autonomy, which is like,
mm.
hopefully if I, if we all did our job right, you can understand all the perspectives at the end. And it's just like, well, this just sucks. Like, this just sucks.
That's ooh wee. I feel those emotions again, very, very, very personal. I do want me to wrap, but Andrew, I'd be remiss if I didn't give just a quick spotlight on your next project, The Death of Waylon James, which is just gonna once again, I feel really highlight why this genre and we're again featuring grief and supernatural. Is why horror is one of the best places to play. If you can share a little bit about that, and then we'll wrap.
Yeah, so it's a supernatural Western set in the 1800s. It's an adaptation of a Greek tragedy called the Oresteia. And I'm super, super lucky, fortunate, blessed to have amazing producers, Debbie Liebling and Tim Blake Nelson on board. And we've got, Vera Farmiga coming in. We've got Cooper Hoffman leading the film. We've got Esther McGregor, and the cast is really rounding out. And we're gonna put on our boots and our cowboy hats, and we're gonna go to the desert. And we're gonna see a ghost.
So
Well, I'm
good.
looking forward to that and certainly be around to talk about it. But in the meantime, got to get folks out here to go check out this project, The Beldham, which is going to be available as of tomorrow, November. Time is flying. November 7th, nationwide. Thank you so much for your time today
Thank
and
you.
congratulations.
Really
It's been
appreciate
so
it.
much fun talking to you both on this one.
Thank you.
Likewise, honey. Thanks for the beautiful questions.
Thank you so much.
Lurks.